until after they lifted the COVID moratorium, and then she finally just moved out. Man, when she moved out, man, she left the place trashed. Short-term capital gains. See, I was new to the game, right? So I did make a lick, but guess what? I ended up spending like a grip in taxes because I didn't really understand short-term capital gains. And then I lost like $25,000, $30,000 in taxes. And if I would have had that information, I could have had $25,000 to $30,000 more dollars in my pocket. Today, I want to talk a little bit about one of the L's that I took that almost knocked me out of this real estate game. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. If this is the type of content that you like, go ahead. I'm going to pause right now, give you guys a chance to go ahead, hit that like button right now. I'm not even going to start talking again until you hit that like. Go ahead. Okay, I know you done hit it by now. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and turn on your notifications so you can know when I put out my new content. But anyways, today, man, like I said, man, I want to talk about one of the major L's I took. But the crazy thing about it is, man, like when you take L's in your journey and your focus, the L's don't get to you as much, right? And I'm not trying to say that from the position of like being overly confident. I'm just saying it's true, because you got to understand that like everything isn't just going to go your way, right? That's, I mentioned that before in the past, man. If you're the type of person that thinks that like everything in your life is going to go the way you planned out, man, you're going to struggle, man. You're going to be mentally challenged your whole life, man. You're going to be stressed out, wondering why things going this way, wondering why things going that way. And it's going to put a lot of pressure on your mental, right? So I'm built to know that like everything I do isn't gonna like pan out perfectly, right? Now that doesn't mean I have a negative mindset. I just have a realistic mindset. There's gonna be some things I'm gonna be very successful at, and there's gonna be some things where I'm gonna struggle. And that's life's journey. And if you are trying to get somewhere and you're afraid of that, then you're not ever gonna get anywhere, right? Because the bottom line is you gotta get out here and you gotta try to do some stuff to be able to get ahead. What I've said before in the past is like, the bottom line is like, if you're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, right? Or you don't have some connections or something, you have to be able to take risks to get ahead. And sometimes when you take risks, you end up taking an L, right? So my story happened that I'm talking to you guys about today. This happened during COVID time. And during COVID, I already had my mindset that like, Chris, you gotta figure out how to, get to financial freedom, right? And so during COVID, I had actually purchased a house on a finance, and it was a great deal. And I met this guy. I can't remember how I met him. Maybe it was on Craigslist or something. I know, shout out to Craigslist. I know all you guys, if you're old school, you know all about Craigslist. I don't think people use it as much now, but Craigslist was pretty prominent to find like deals, real estate deals and stuff like that. So I found this guy on there, and he had a house that he bought, and he was actually leaving. This was his story. So he basically had a house that he purchased on a finance through this lady. And so he was basically saying that if I bought the house from him, that I could basically take over his note that he had with her, but he wanted a certain amount for it. And I think he had like he had a bit of a note. I think he owed like maybe 50-something thousand, and he wanted to sell it to me for like 70,000. So I basically had to put a little bit over 10,000 down to get the property. But it was a triplex, right? And it was downtown Atlanta, and I was like, okay. And then so he gave me the information about the tenants and stuff, and so there was a tenant in each one, and each one of the tenants were paying. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but the numbers ended up being solid, based on what I ended up having to pay as far as the mortgage note, and what I was going to be collecting in rent. And so, I'm out here like I'm really trying to find my ladder, man. I'm trying to climb my way up. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna make it to financial freedom. So of course I'm out here taking risks, right? And so this is during COVID too as well. So it was like, COVID was crazy, man. It was a crazy time, and You know, people were just doing things and stuff like that, but I didn't know how COVID was going to impact actually this deal. It probably exacerbated the situation. But basically, so I ended up purchasing the property, and you know, for the first month, I reached out to the tenants that were in there, and if I said, hey man, I'm the new landlord, I'm just letting you know, man, your money needs to come to me now, blah blah blah. And then of course he sends them an email, let them know, or he reaches out to them too and let them know, hey, I'm your landlord. And so so I reach out and I start, you know, say, hey, we need this, I need to start collecting rent. And so 2 of the 3 send me money, no problem, right? And so I'm like, okay, so the third person, they're not responding and stuff. And so I'm like, hey man, what's going on with this third person? And I reach out to him. I'm like, what's up with this girl? You got another contact for her? He's like, nah, man, she'll respond. Just keep reaching out to her, whatever. And again, I was living, this is like downtown Atlanta. I probably was living in Alpharetta or something like that at the time. So, but anyways, I started reaching out to this girl, and so she finally responds. And so she starts making all kind of excuses as to why she can't pay the rent and stuff like that, and she don't have a job and all this stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I get it, but like, you still got to pay rent. And so, you know, of course, you know, I'm trying to be soft. Like I'm handling this with kid gloves. This is my first real interaction with her. So, you know, I don't want the first thing to be out of my mouth is either you pay or you got to go, right? So, you know, I'm trying to handle it with kid gloves, try to show some empathy and things like that. And so, you know, I kind of go back and forth with her about it, and, you know, trying to give her the opportunity to, you know, get her life together so she can start paying me some rent. And so I think a month or 2, maybe 2 months go by, and I don't get no rent from her. The other 2 are actually paying every month, no problems, everything's good. And so so I'm like, man, this girl she's playing games with me, man. She's trying to not pay me any money. And so, you know, I start turning up the heat a little bit. I'm like, hey, you know, like, you got to pay rent, man. Like I'm paying these utilities and stuff. And yeah, that's a piece that I left out. The water was in my name, right? And so I think the electricity was too. I can't remember, man. I think maybe water and electricity, but I know at least the water was in my name. And so I said, hey man, you know, I'm paying these utilities for you, like I'm taking an L on your apartment. And so, you know, I think her boyfriend or somebody calls me up and says something crazy like they not paying because she don't got no job, and, you know, if people don't got jobs, they don't got to pay. And so I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you always got to pay rent. There ain't no such thing as you don't got to pay if you don't have no job. And it was like, you know, it's the law because of COVID and stuff like that. And of course, like I didn't, like, this is the first time COVID, you know, we didn't know nothing about COVID. We didn't know the laws about COVID. So of course, you know, I start doing my research and come to find out, like, they was right. Like they basically put it in, like, they made city ordinances like we couldn't evict people because of COVID. And so landlords were just basically taking L's, right? And so I'm like, damn, if my other 2 tenants find out about this, like, I'm toast. And so, you know, she was riding that, and the crazy thing was they were all related. So I don't know why the other 2 didn't stop paying. I guess they were just better people. But the bottom line is she basically rode the COVID thing out, and I ended up having that girl stay in that house probably for about 5 months until after they lifted the COVID moratorium, and then she finally just moved out. Man, when she moved out, man, she left the place trashed. I'm actually put some pictures up in this video of how bad she left this place, man. This was the most craziest situation I ever seen in my life, man. There was dog shit all over the floor. There was baby Pampers. It was the nastiest situation you ever saw in your life. Man, I ended up paying some dudes like $500 something to just like clean up the house. Matter of fact, I ended up spending like a stack because I ended up having to have somebody go back because the first crew couldn't even get it all. Like, it was ridiculous. And so, but, you know, I just wanted to tell you guys that story just to let you know, man, you're going to take L's along the way on your journey to financial freedom. I eventually did get her out of the house, like I said. And the crazy thing about it is I ended up flipping it. I ended up selling it for like $144,000 like 9 months later. And so you might be thinking, dang, Chris, man, you ran the play. I did run the play, but guess what I didn't think about? Short-term capital gains. See, I was new to the game, right? So I did make a lick, but guess what? I ended up spending like a grip in taxes because I didn't really understand short-term capital gains. And this is what I tell folks, man, like this real estate game, like it's very complex, man. Don't get out here just slinging around money, getting loans and stuff without really understanding what's going on. Get with somebody who actually has been through the grind a little bit. You know, you might need to get a mentor, right? So think about it like this, man. I tell people all the time, like the best currency right now is information currency. If I would have had information, like if I would have understood the stuff that was going on with COVID, because COVID had already started, right? If I would have did my research and figured out, like I could have been more cautious. I could have moved a little bit differently. Maybe I wouldn't have made that investment, understanding that the people could possibly not pay me, right? But I didn't have that information at the time, right? So I went on and I made a move, you know, thinking it was gonna be good. And I will say in the end, it did end up being good, but it could have been a total disaster. But I ended up selling it for like double what I paid for it. Like I said, 9 months later, and I did double my money, but because I didn't hold the property for a few more months, I lost like $25,000, $30,000 in taxes. And if I would have had that information, I could have had $25,000 to $30,000 more dollars in my pocket. That's the power of information. Now, what if I had paid a mentor to help me out? And I paid a mentor $5,000. I'm not trying to advocate for paying a mentor $5,000, but I just really want you guys to understand that the power of information, right? If I would have known that, I could have saved $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Understanding that. And the crazy thing is, I believe the people who bought the house from me, I don't know what they did with it, but they gave me that money so quick. I was like, damn, I must be undersold this. But again, man, that's what happens when you get out there and you're trying to make moves. I don't regret none of it because, you know, I came out on the other side. I think I'm in pretty good shape now with it. But, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, you're going to take L's along the way, man. You can't let the L's make you give up. You got to go ahead and take that L and bounce back. But you got to get smarter from these L's that you take, right? You can't keep taking these L's and not really understanding what's going on with the L's and getting better because of it. And that's what I did, right? I got smarter after taking L's, and you should too. And that's the game. But if you like content like this, man, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and get out there on your grind, man. Don't be afraid to take chances. Don't be afraid to go ahead and chase your dreams. And don't be afraid to start running them plays, man. Peace.